Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Mike here with Nerdy Tech. Today we are talking about Azure locks. Locks within Azure, however you want to call it. We're going to talk about what they are, why you would use them, and how you can actually set them up. So let's jump right into it. All right, so let's start with a conversation. Let's draw this out. Locks. What is the purpose of locks? The purpose of locks in Azure is to prevent accidental, I'll say, deletion or changes to resources. Okay, that is probably the sloppiest writing I've ever done on any video. That's it right there. But hopefully you see where I'm going with this. So let's say we have in our environment, let's say we have a resource group. I'll write a little slower so you can actually read it. I'll say resource group A. And inside of this, I have resources, right? We'll say I have VM A, I have an NSG, that's essentially firewall policy. We'll talk about that more, I'm sure, in another video. And let's say I have a VNet or a virtual network. And you know, maybe we even have, I don't know, let's say another VMB, right? So that's what's in resource group A. So the purpose of the resource lock that we just talked about is to prevent accidental deletion or changes to resources. So this is pretty simple. We can just simply apply this lock to a resource, any of these resources, NSG, VNets, VMs, you know, we can apply it wherever we want, right? We could also apply it to a resource group. So in this case, let's say I applied it to VMA, and I'm going to draw like the sloppiest lock ever. Let's say I apply the resource lock to VMA. What this means is that if I come along and I'm not really thinking, and I try to delete, I hit delete and try to delete VMA, that's not gonna happen. It will deny it because there's a lock that is applied. And by the way, that's even if I applied the lock, it's not going to work. I have to remove the lock before I can proceed with deleting it or changing it depending on the type of lock. And we'll talk about that too. One thing you should know before we jump into Azure and actually look at this is locks are inherited. So in this case, if I applied a lock to the resource group as a whole, and I apply really sloppily drawn lock there, this will actually be inherited by all of these resources down here. So now all of them will have this lock making sure that we can't accidentally delete or change these resources across the board. So we apply it one place, it inherits. Now I do want to also talk about, there's essentially kind of two types of locks. I'll say two types of locks. What? I don't know what we're trying to write. Okay. My voice doesn't usually go to that register. Sorry about that. All right. The first type is going to be, I'm never going to live that one down. First type of lock is a delete lock. And in parentheses, is that right? I'm going to put cannot delete, all one word. This is how it would be written in the command line interface sometimes. So if you use the Azure CLI, you can see it written as cannot delete, all one word. So that's why I put that there. So that's the first option, first type of lock. The other is read only. All right, so a delete lock will make sure that nobody can delete whatever we apply that lock to or anything under it, right, in the hierarchy in like our resource group example. A read-only lock will allow us to read all of the resources but not to modify them or delete them. That's the difference between the two. Those are your only two types. All right, so I want to shift gears from drawing and I want to flip into Azure and let's take a look at this. All right, so here we are inside of Azure. Let's go to resource groups and let's see what we're working with. So it looks like we have two resource groups, dev-resource group or RG and prod RG. So let's apply a resource group in two ways. The first one we're going to apply to a resource group, and then the second will apply directly to a resource. So let's start off by saying, For our prod resource group, that's our prod environment. So we don't want anybody to do anything. They can read it, but no changes whatsoever. So to do that, we can click on our resource group. And if we go down this menu that pops up and we're looking for locks right here, and simply we go to add, right? Pretty straightforward. We'll click add. We give it a name. I'll say read only lock. Type will be read only. We do also have the option for that delete lock as well. We'll just leave it to read only and I'll click okay, that's fine. All right, so we applied that there. So that's read only. Now another thing I didn't mention about locks, they apply to all users across the board. So even though I am the owner, I created these VMs and all of that inside of this resource group, I almost didn't say that, right? I no longer have access to delete them. So let me show you. So if we go back to our resource group, let's actually X out of this. Let's click on prod resource group now. We see we have resources in it right here. We have a VM, network security group, those are firewall rules. A VNet, it's a virtual network interface, disk, SSH key, right? If we go into the VM and we click delete on this VM, let's do that. And it says it's going to delete the OS disk and a network interface with it. That's fine. We'll just check the box, hit delete. And right away it gives us an error. Let's look at this error. It says an error, let's see, an error occurred while deleting virtual machine web VM. It says cannot perform delete operation because following scopes are locked. And if you look through all the gibberish here, you'll see it says resource group /prod RG. Please remove the lock and try again. It's telling us exactly where the problem is. But the cool thing here is anytime this happens, so I tried to delete this VM, it's not working. If I missed that little error and it just didn't work, what I can also do is go to any resource at all, right? If I'm trying to delete this VM, any resource, in this case, web VM, just go to locks on the VM. Notice how the lock shows up here. We didn't apply it to the VM, we applied it to the resource group, but it's still going to show on the resource. That's why I said go to any resource. If you're trying to delete it, just go to the affected resource that you can't delete or you can't change or whatever, and go to locks, and it'll actually show you anything that's applied there. And it says here, parent resource locks can't be edited here. Click on the locks scope to go to that scope. That's right here, prod-RG. It's telling us, hey, you can go here and click delete all you want. I'm clicking it, not happening. If we click on prod-RG for resource group, and then we go to locks again, look at this. It says this resource has no locks, but it's lying to us. If we go hit refresh, bam. I don't know why this happens, but it happens a lot in Azure. Sometimes you just got to refresh if things don't look quite right. It can scare you at first because then you think it didn't work. In our case, let's go ahead and remove this lock. We're going to delete it. Kind of ironic, we deleted a delete lock. Or no, yeah, whatever. I don't remember. That was a read-only lock, I think, wasn't it? I don't know. Anyway, the point is we deleted it. So let's go now and let's go back to our resource groups. Let's go into dev resource group. And in this case, we want to just simply apply a lock to an individual resource. Just to prove a point, let's click a virtual network. It doesn't matter what we click here. From there, we can go down to locks and add. And that's it. We can select our delete lock. I think we did read only before. So we can select a delete lock now. I'll say, no delete or something, right? I don't remember what we did. But the point is, you have those two. We can select it. We simply hit OK, and we can add that lock to this one resource, in this case, our VNet, right? So that's it. That's literally all you have to worry about when it comes to locks. They're actually pretty useful. They could be a little annoying if you got out of hand with them, but there's definitely a use case for them that's valid in some cases. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you found it useful. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on your way out if you're not already. I think 30% of the people that watch my videos are currently subscribed. So most people watching have not subscribed yet. I'm hoping to help you learn Azure and anything else I can teach you guys better. I'm always learning, so anything you guys can teach me is equally appreciated. So that said, stay safe and healthy, and until next time, stay nerdy.